Hello, I'm Greg Gwiz.
And I'm Brad Blackwell. On behalf of Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, we want to welcome you to today's webcast featuring Brian Buffini.
That's right.
Greg, this is our second in a series of 3 webcasts this year.
You know, today's webcast features all new content focused on the importance of a great attitude and how it can lead to incredible results. You know, at Wells Fargo Home Mortgage, we believe in helping our clients succeed, and that's why we're sponsoring this webcast today.
It is. Everyone knows the real estate market has been challenging over the past few years, but many markets are starting to recover. Great news.
That's right.
We want to help you capture that opportunity. Now, one of the best ways to prepare and outperform the market recovery is to work with a trusted lender. When you work with Wells Fargo, you have the added confidence that only comes from working with a solid, well-managed community bank.
You know, from helping you build business to approving your buyers to closing your transactions on time, no other lender is as committed to adding value to real estate professionals like you in all the ways that count.
It is our pleasure to introduce today's speaker. Although, Greg, I think they all know who he is. They registered for this webcast right away.
He's pretty popular.
But Brian Buffini built his fortune as a realtor by implementing a sophisticated lead generation system that ensured a predictable supply of high-quality referrals. In 1995, he founded Buffini & Company to share his powerful referral systems with others like you today.
That's right. Headquartered in San Diego, California, Buffini & Company is now the largest real estate training and coaching company in North America. Brian has trained over 1.5 million sales professionals on how to accelerate business while balancing their lives. Those in his coaching programs, get this, Brad, are earning 7 times the national average in income. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot. Watch and listen as Brian delivers another dynamic presentation designed to help you thrive in any market.
Well, thank you, Greg and Brad, and the top of the morning to everybody. Great to be with you here today in another one of our series of our webcasts brought to you by Wells Fargo. I'm very, very proud to be associated with Wells Fargo in this series of events we've been putting together, from live events to the Cine meeting, and now coming to you via live webcast. Very exciting presentation for you today. I really hope that you have some note paper available to you, a journal, a notebook, a pen. We want to take some copious notes. Today we're going to talk about how to have an awesome attitude. And that may seem like not the most practical thing for your business. And I'm known as the practical guy with the working by referral system and the coaching program that teaches the nuts and bolts of how to achieve in this industry. But I'm going to share with you one of the little known secrets of the real estate industry is that this is an emotional business. It takes a lot of emotional energy. It takes a lot of fire in your belly to be able to do this business right. And even when you're successful, when you get a client, when you get a transaction, which seem to be even a little more challenging today than they have been in the past, it just can be very draining. In addition to that, it doesn't take much to look outside and see how negative the media is. You know, we say yesterday a report came out to say that sales were up tremendously in April. And then right after that, the reporters go, but how much of that was due to the tax credit, and now is the market going into a tailspin? These are the things we have to combat every day. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is not a new dynamic. In 1902, Mark Twain said, the worst job in the world is to be the editor of a newspaper. That way you have to read such morose and somber material every day. Well, I'd say 108 years later, he's right. The fact of the matter is, we're bombarded with negativity. The media is fueled by negativity. There's a lot of fear in the marketplace. We've just come through a very, very deep, dark recession, and a lot of people have been hurting. Even when you've been making sales, a lot of these folks have been upside down, foreclosures, short sales, some difficult transactions. You've represented people as a seller who may have lost a job, who may be selling their house for a lot less than they bought it for. Now, you may be going, where's the awesome attitude part of this webcast today? But ultimately, I tell you, here's where we are today. We have a great opportunity to understand the business we're in, the dynamic of this industry. And that is, you can have the great fundamentals, the great practical systems, a great business plan, but unless you personally fuel your tank, fill yourself emotionally and mentally, it's a very difficult business to win in, and that's the energy we need to thrive. So today, is all about how to have an awesome attitude. Now, I'm going to go for about 45 minutes right now. I'm going to give you some instructions, some how-tos, some quotes, a lot of stuff you're going to want to write down and remember. But also I'm going to open it up for some questions. Now, we're already receiving quite a few questions live. But please, if you have a question, push the button on the website below me here. Ask a question. Now, please make sure you tell us who you are and where you're from. I think it's a very exciting dynamic to know. We have over 5,000 people calling in from all over the United States. Many Wells Fargo mortgage consultants are hosting this webcast today in a meeting setting where there's maybe 50, 60, 70 people. So very, very exciting time today. So let's dive right in, shall we? And let's talk about how to have an awesome attitude, because having an awesome attitude in this business leads to you having an incredible business. Now, I'm not going to cover everything in 45 minutes that you need about attitude, but I'll give you 3 major principles here today. The first one we need to talk about is philosophy. The second thing we need to talk about is our attitude. And the third thing we need to talk about is our energy. So those are the 3 things you'll want to write down: philosophy, attitude, and energy. Your philosophy, your attitude, and your energy. We're going to pull those apart. I have some information to share with you, a couple of books to refer to you. I have some quotes you're going to want to write down and remember. We have some resources that are being made available to you through Wells Fargo. And we have a gift that Buffini Company is going to give to you today to help all of you in your business. So we want to make sure that this great business of ours is continued to fueled by you, the great professionals in this industry, the people who stayed around, the people who have withstood the recession, made a commitment to this as your industry, this is my career, you're the ones who should prosper now. And having a great attitude will do more for you than anything else. So let's talk about it right now. Let's examine your philosophy. Philosophy, by definition, can be described this way by Mr. Webster. It's literally the love of wisdom. It's the love of wisdom. And a sub-definition would be what you believe. So we want to be pursuing wisdom. That's why we want to be training and going to events and reading books, turning our car into a mobile classroom, driving around with that information, putting the good stuff in. We all know the phrase, garbage in and, that's right, garbage out. But what's the opposite of that? Good stuff in, good stuff out. So what we want to do is pursue wisdom and then ultimately help it frame what we believe. Now, I'm not going to talk about all of philosophy today. Many of you have gone to college for 4 years and studied that stuff. But in regards to our context today, I have 3 questions for you. First of all, what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? Secondly, what do you believe about the industry you're in? Third, what do you believe about the future? So what do you believe about yourself? What do you believe about the industry? What do you believe about the future? Let's pull these apart. I hope to challenge you. One of my gifts in life is to comfort the afflicted and simultaneously afflict the comfortable. So if you're a little comfortable today in your philosophy, I hope to challenge you. What do you believe about yourself? You know, a good friend of mine named Shad Helmstetter wrote a great book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. Shad has helped many, many people by helping them examine their self-talk. You know, would you allow anyone else in your life to talk to you the way you talk to you? Do you ever say things to yourself to kind of tear yourself down? Lazy, fat, stupid. How could I be so stupid? We say these things to ourselves. But when you really get pressed, what do you believe about yourself? I have a neat quote here for you from Zig Ziglar. You were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. I'll say that again. You were born to win, but to be a winner, you got to plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. Right now, are you planning? Could you take me to your business plan in your office? Are you preparing, and do you expect to win? And I'll continue on here with these slides here as we continue on our presentation today. So first, what do you believe about yourself? Secondly, what do you believe about the industry? Many people right now are running around like Chicken Little. Sky is falling. Sky is falling. What do you believe about this industry? Do you believe that some technology is going to come along and blow out the entire industry? You know, I met a guy at one of our seminars who invented the pager. You know, he doesn't have an industry anymore. There's no need for a pager in our world today. His industry went away. Food, shelter, clothing. Those are the 3 bigs. Those are the 3 strongest basic needs of a human being. We're in the shelter business. So what do you believe about this industry? Well, the basic law of economics is supply and demand. So let's talk about the industry that we're in and take a little look at what we have. First of all, we have Generation Y, sometimes called Generation Z, ultimately called the Echo Boom generation. Now let me give you a little context on this. The Echo Boom generation right now in the United States is approximately 80 million people, approximately 50% larger than the Baby Boom generation. Now, to give you some stats on this, the Echo Boomers are people between the ages of 18 to 31. Now, understand that the average age of the first-time buyer last year in the United States was 30. So here we have 80 million people right in this sweet spot coming our way to come and buy homes, to get into the marketplace, to get into the job market, to come and create a business, to get out of college. So very, very powerful, this Generation YZ group. Very, very powerful. And they are coming into peak season. Now, we'll be talking about this in later events and programs on how we need to connect with these folks. And one of the mechanisms they connect with is through social media. We also need to understand that the fundamentals of this business, calling folks, building relationships with folks, meeting people face-to-face and voice-to-voice, and getting referrals is still the key ingredient. All the social media stuff does is magnify it. So we'll touch on that in later webcasts. But for the belief in the industry, we need to know supply and demand is in our favor. Second piece here is longevity. Have you noticed people are living longer? You know, it used to be that Willard Scott on Good Morning America, if you were 100 years of age, you got on a program. And Willard would come out and he'd go, hey, here's Ethel. She's 100 years old today. Doesn't she look lovely? She's in Bloomington, Indiana. Wonderful. Well, today Ethel has no chance of making Good Morning America. 100 years of age, has no chance of getting in there. To get on Willard Scott, you got to be 112 years of age and be an aerobics instructor with a 79-year-old boyfriend. That's what it takes now. That's where they're going. And so, because people are living longer and longer and longer. The mortality rate in the United States has increased 25 years in 30 years. Amazing stuff. People are living longer and longer and longer. What does that mean to you and me? It means folks who are living longer are living in their homes longer, or whatever piece of real estate they're in. Maybe they've downsized to a condo or whatever else. But the fact of the matter is it consumes inventory. It maintains inventory. So we have the Echo Boomers coming down the pike, a huge group, and we have longevity, people living longer. Now, how are we doing on the supply side? Well, on the supply side, in the last 3 years, we've had amongst the lowest new construction numbers we've had since the Great Depression. About 550,000 units a year. Now, to give you context on that, we haven't had that level of low construction since the 1930s. The real important thing about that is that the fact of the matter is, it's from the 1930s through to today, we have almost 3 times the population of the country. We're doing the census right now. You need to understand, 550,000 units, that was small in 1932. That's remarkably small in 2010, because we got 3 times the demand. What do you believe about this industry? What do you believe about the market? What do you believe about real estate? Oh, by the way, there's also a third less competitors you have to deal with in your industry. So all things are coming together. It's a wonderful opportunity. Some people are going, oh, I don't know what's going to happen here with the dynamic of, where the market's going. I don't know where things are going with, where the interest rates are going. I don't know where things are going based on what's ultimately happened with the tax credits. But now we have a change. We need to understand the tax credits come and gone. Some other states are still offering some tax credits, but the fact of the matter is the fundamentals of our industry are very strong. Supply and demand is the key. Now, many of you who attended the Cine meeting, you know we've been providing resources and materials, marketing materials that you can take, download, and send to your customers. And so we've done some fantastic information on this, on the coming housing boom. We have a piece being released tomorrow on why it pays to buy now. Now, this is a very important strategically timed material, because many people think the time to buy was 4 weeks ago when the tax credits are flying. So we want to educate people and know that from a housing affordability index, rates low, prices down, it's among the most affordable time to buy a home in the last 40 years. So we want to educate and articulate to people how to buy now. So we have a resource available to you for that. And I'll be talking on how to get that resource in a moment. So with regards to your philosophy, here's what we want to talk about. Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. I'm going to say this again. This is one of my mentors, the great Jim Rohn. Success is neither magical nor mysterious. Success is the natural consequence of consistently applying the basic fundamentals. That's what you and I have to be about. It's not magical. It's not mysterious. If you want to lose weight, you eat right and exercise. I know that's a bummer, but it's the truth. If you want to be successful in business, you need to develop a database, cultivate relationships, stay in contact with people, and ask them for business. Provide value, ask them for business. Go meet them, ask them for business. That's what we have to do. And it's those fundamentals. And the more we do those fundamentals, the more successful we are. So where you are in your philosophy. So we've talked about what do you believe about yourself, what do you believe about the industry, and then what do you believe about the future? What do you believe about the future? You know, I got to be honest with you. And typically I don't like to name names, but if you're watching Keith Olbermann, or if you're watching Glenn Beck, you might be getting information on a regular basis that makes you feel bad, that makes you feel down, because you're hearing a very, very partisan view from the left, a very, very partisan view from the right about circumstances that are affecting our day. Now, it doesn't mean there's not validity to both points. It just means that the level of the vitriolic responses in the marketplace today, the level of what's going on in the media, the drama that's now created in the media, through talk radio, through television, so on and so forth, it is very easy to believe. And right now, we're at a place where over 50% of Americans believe that the future of this country will not be as bright as its past. Over 50% of the people in this country right now believe that. Now, here's the good news. This is not the first time that's happened. That was the same in 1991. That was the same in 1980. That was the same in 1973. Oh, by the way, those are 4 major recessions we went through. So the fact of the matter is, every time we go through tough times, people believe this is the end of it. This is all there's going to be. The difference with our world today is that there's more negative media. And we have to just make sure that we're combating that. Garbage in, garbage out. So we got to put the good stuff in. We got to drench ourselves in the good stuff. We got to immerse ourselves like being in a swimming pool in the good stuff. In my home, I'm just sharing with you, we have stuff playing throughout the house throughout the day. I have my car. I'm telling you right now, as much as I'm interested in politics, I'm an Irishman, we live for politics. The fact of the matter is, I don't listen to any talk radio at all. I'll read a book, and then the following week, I'll play the book on tape or on a CD. The same book that I just read, I'll hear the author's perspective on it. That's one of the things I'm doing right now, to keep myself in good shape, to keep myself mentally alert, to keep myself in a position of working at a high level, succeeding at a high level, and here's the deal, it actually works. It really does help you. So what do you believe about your future? Norman Vincent Peale, the great, great inspirational author and presenter, said this: any fact facing us is not as important as our attitude toward it, for that determines our success or failure. The way you think about a fact may defeat you before you ever do anything about it. You are overcome by the fact because you think you are. Now, this is not just positive mental attitude stuff alone, that we ignore the stats, we ignore the market, we ignore everything. However, you can get a lot further with a positive mental attitude than you can with a negative mental attitude. The old phrase, if you think you can't, or you think you can, you're right, is true. It's so true. And so for me, here's what I decided. I said to my family, I told my business associates, we choose at Buffini & Company not to participate in a recession. That was our motto. Now, were we affected by the recession? Absolutely. Did it impact our business? Absolutely. Did it impact the people we serve and coach? Absolutely. And we need to be compassionate and very caring about those folks. But the truth is, we chose we're not going to participate in it, which means we're not going to give our emotion over to it. It is what it is. There are tough times. Time to go. Time to work. Time to put the good stuff in. Time to stay at the peak of our game. You need a positive attitude now more than ever. Now's not the time to give up the ghost. And that's where we're going to go here with our second major point. We start with our philosophy, what you believe, about yourself, the industry, and the future. Now I want to talk about your attitude. Okay? So let's have a look at this. You have a mental diet, you have exercise, and you have gratitude. These are the three elements. Mental diet, exercise, and gratitude. Now exercise, I'm going to focus more on the mental exercise as much as we are physical exercise, although physical exercise does help greatly. The key to a positive mental attitude is diet and exercise, which is a mental diet is exercising what you've learned. So I take in the mental diet, I put the good stuff in, I read, I listen, I watch, I hang out with positive people, and then I go do. Just like today. I don't want you to just hear this stuff. Education without implementation is merely entertainment. Now, there's a lot of places you could go for entertainment, and there are people that are a lot better at entertaining than I am. We're here today on a webcast because you have a desire. We have 5,000 locations logged into this right here, this webcast. Why? Because you have a thirst for knowledge and to grow. Now, the goal is that you take this information and go do something with it. So our attitude needs to be one of, here's what I take in, here's what I go do. Here's what I take in, here's what I go do. I'm going to take it in and I'm going to apply it. Key component. So the mental diet, let's talk about it real quickly. A mental diet, again, my mentor, Mr. Jim Rohn, and I'll reference him many times today. Mr. Rohn passed away late last year. And no one had more of an impact on my mental diet in my life than this man. My dad, I have a great relationship with my dad, but this guy was a mentor to me. He said, let others lead small lives, but not you. Let others argue over small things, but not you. Let others cry over small hurts, but not you. Let others leave their future in someone else's hands, but not you. I hope you're not waiting for a government bailout. I hope you're not waiting for a program. I hope you're not waiting for the Fed to do something. I hope you're not waiting for anybody to do anything. The market's going to do what the market's going to do. There's things I can control, and there's things I can't. A good friend of mine was hoping to go home to Ireland recently. Well, all of a sudden there was a volcano in Iceland. Stranded him in San Diego for 2 weeks. Now, San Diego's not such a bad place to get stranded, but he was 2 weeks stuck in San Diego. He couldn't control what happened in Iceland. No more than I can control what the Fed does. No more than I can control the tax rates. No more than I can control the economy. But there's a whole bunch of things in my day I can control. And the number one thing I can control, what's in between my two ears. What's going into my mind. What's being fertilized and planted in my heart. Where my energy goes. Where my attitude goes. You know, the real estate business loves drama. And the real estate business attracts people who like drama. A little bit of drama queen everywhere. I have a good buddy of mine, Mr. Joe Nigo, who says, save the drama for your mama. In the real estate business, I'm keeping my attitude on high. You know why? Because when I walk into someone's home, they gotta feel me. When I walk into someone's home, I walk in and say, after taking the tour, this house is going to sell. Now, is this house going to sell? Sure. If we price the house right, put it in a great condition to show, make it as available as possible to show, it's going to sell. We keep making that price right. You got to bring that energy. Now, every time I ever told a customer this house is going to sell, every time they went, really? The fact of the matter is 75% of our communication is nonverbal. People need to feel you. If you're watching the negative stuff, if you're reading the negative stuff, if you're hanging out with the negative people, guess what? My mother used to say this, you lie down with dogs, you get fleas. That's the bottom line. If you're not a smoker, but you hang out with people who smoke, your clothes are going to smell of smoke. If you're hanging around with negative people, naysayers, people who are down on the market, down on the country, down on the politicians, down on everyone, the next thing you know, whether you think it or not, that smoke's on your clothes. And you'll start getting a little down. The mental diet. You feed yourself every day, many times. You got to read. You got to read. And a quote I've said many times in my life, might be a little precocious of me here to quote myself, but I want to get this to you. A person who doesn't read has the same set of limitations as a person who can't. Here it is. My mother calls me a hive of useless information. Approximately 2.5% of the people in the United States have a library card. Now, I know we have the internet, but there's a big difference between reading an article or a blog on the internet and reading a book, or even making the effort to go to a library. A library is a special place. The fact that it's quiet and peaceful. You're surrounded by wisdom. You're surrounded by information. You're surrounded by so many things that can help your life and your business, your family. So many answers are sitting there waiting. 2.5% of Americans have a library card to go in and get books for free. We have to become readers. And we need to be able to exercise that on a regular basis. We're living in such a high-tech world, we just get this bombarded all the time. The person who doesn't read is the same as the person who can't read. I'm going to encourage you, you already have purchased books that you own. And one of the ways for you to exercise your mental diet is go pick up the book you bought. Now, I don't know why it is. It's a two-step process. You buy the book, then you haven't read the book yet. You've bought the book. And all I'm going to say to you is this, not, oh, kill your television or do anything like that. If you like watching television programs, you have programs you really like, watch them. It's the ones that you're really not into, that you're kind of goofing around with hours, you know, or channel surfing or whatever else. I'm going to encourage you this, 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes a day, reading the books that you bought. You bought a book because you wanted it to fit some kind of need for you. This is going to help me. This is going to impact me. This is going to improve me. Even if it's a book to help you relax. 15 minutes a day, change your life. So we want to take the mental diet and then we want to exercise. Now you can physically exercise, which is powerful, but I'm also talking about exercise of a different nature, okay? Which is putting into practice what you have. Again, Mr. Norman Vincent Peale says, every problem has in it the seeds of its own solution. If you don't have any problems, you don't have any seeds. Well, many of you sitting there going, man, I'm blessed because I got a ton of seeds. I got so many problems, I must be a wealthy person. But again, there it is. That's Norman Vincent Peale. Norman Vincent Peale was a guy that changed the world. His book, The Power of Positive Thinking, was not just an international bestseller, but the foundation of the whole personal growth and development movement that came in the 1950s and lasts until today. Here's the good news. You know, everybody's got a book today. If you're on The Apprentice and you get fired after 3 days, you write a book. If you're on Dancing with the Stars and you get eliminated in the semi-final, now you produce a book. Everybody's got a book. Have you read this one? Have you read this book? A Practical Guide to Mastering the Problems of Everyday Living, The Power of Positive Thinking. That book changed my life. That book changed my life. I didn't wake up positive. I didn't come into this world positive. I grew up in Ireland. In Ireland, we love to take shots at one another and have fun with that. I do that all the time. It's part of my DNA. But it can also lead you to negative places. So you have to put the good stuff in. Mental diet and exercise. Now, I do think physically getting out and about is a good way to go. So one of the things I do is if I go for the jog, I'll listen to the book that I just read. It's a great way to do it. I get a little physical exercise. It gets the blood pumping, gets the body moving, gets my mind going, gets oxygen into the system. If you want to just go for a walk, just go for a walk, but have the good stuff going at the same time, man, now you are like super fueling yourself. You're super fueling your emotions. You're super fueling your body. You're super fueling your mind and heart. And guess what? You're ready for that difficult negotiation. In fact, you relish it. It's like, bring it on. As opposed to, oh no, I have this difficult conversation to have. I have this confrontation to have. I've got to ask this seller to reduce the price. When we meet challenges with low energy and low emotion, we're going to get run over. So the bottom line is, I'm ready for the day, I'm ready for the task, I'm ready for the challenge. A better business equals a better attitude also. And I mentioned these briefly, but we have some resources available for you. And one of the things I'm very proud of with our association with Wells Fargo is right now a lot of real estate organizations, companies that serve the real estate industry are pulling back their services to the real estate community. And I was very excited when I saw Wells Fargo's plan, not only with us, but of all the things they got going on, in investing in the real estate agent community, helping you guys grow and do better. And I'm very proud of that. And again, we did a Cine meeting earlier this year where Wells Fargo rents out a movie theater in many, many cities and has agents from all over the country. I believe more than 20,000 agents attended this year's Cine meeting. And one of the things we made available were these resources for you to send to your customers. Positive talking points, a reason for you to get on the phone, a reason for you to get in your car, go see somebody about the coming housing boom, about why it pays to buy now. Some great practical information, great training for your clients to educate them, so that because they're listening to the negative media as well. So if you look on the screen here, all you have to do is go to BuffiniWeb2.com, and so BuffiniWeb2.com, BuffiniWeb2.com/Cinemeeting. And there you'll see where you have an opportunity to download the resources, okay? So Thrive 2010 is your code. And so you can download these resources, download these information. And even as part of our partnership with Wells Fargo, we wanted to match their generosity. So one of the things I'll be talking to you about today is we're going to offer you a free coaching session. We're the leading coaching industry in the industry. And so our company coaches people and helps people. And we want to give you a gift of a coaching session to help you get a little further down the path, particularly in the area of organizing your database so you can send out these materials. We want to help you build your database, sort it, and qualify it, which is kind of the number one foundational principle of the business. So we want to give you those materials, give you that training, give you these resources you can download and send to your customers. Because you know what? What I found is good business makes for a good attitude as well. You know, money can't buy you love, but it can get you, the lack of it can get you a lot of hate. Did you know that? My wife Beverly of 21 years, when we were getting married, her family is from Sumter, South Carolina. And I went down south for the engagement party. And I met her grandpa, Cleveland Krosky. And Cleveland was a man of few words, but he came and he put his arm around me and he said, "Son, just so you know, romance without finance leads to the ambulance," okay? And so that stuck with me. And so what I can tell you is this, is that money can't buy you love, but it sure can help you avoid some of the things that life throws at you to allow you to enjoy this life. The good life costs money. It's nice to have a few bucks in the bank to have some peace of mind. It's nice to have reserves for some peace of mind. And that in and itself creates a better attitude. So we want you to have a good business. The last point I'm just going to touch on here with attitude is the whole concept of gratitude. And again, this is going to sound like old school stuff, but it is. I promise you this, I think the number one reason, if there's anything I've done well in my life, I've been blessed with our family. We have 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls. And the one thing that when people see our family, they come in contact with our kids, we always get some pretty strong compliments on when people interact with our kids. But the one thing that we've put into our kids' minds and hearts from the time they were born was gratitude. Please and thank you. And they weren't told it once or twice, even to this day. It's a relentless pursuit to create a perspective of gratitude. Now, gratitude is a great thing to give, but gratitude changes us. Gratitude changes us. It makes us thankful. It makes us appreciate life. Here's Cicero's quote from 106, 110 BC. "Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all the other virtues." Powerful stuff. Here's what I'm going to encourage you as a little tip. I'm going to encourage you to make a list, a simple list of all the things you're thankful for. Great thought now. Make a list of all the things you're thankful for. I just watched a powerful movie. It was called God Grew Tired of Us. And it's a powerful movie about the Sudanese Lost Boys. And you may know of these guys. These were age 5 to 10 during the Sudanese War, and they end up doing this long march trying to escape the war. And the older boys took care of the younger boys. There were 27,000 of these kids. They walked 1,000 miles through desert, fighting starvation. It would make you really open up your eyes. A number of these guys, after they survived this long march, ended up coming to America. And they come to the States, and it would blow your mind. Blow your mind. They've never seen electricity, and there's 10 of them standing around, turning on a light switch. They've never used an indoor bathroom. Wow. They're looking at the things we take for granted every day as this wondrous deal. I sat down, I watched this with my family, my kids. It opened their eyes. It opened their eyes. It was a fantastic movie, inspirational movie, and some of these guys had some insight on our culture. They've all come here and got degrees and done real well. A lot of them came to the Midwest. Can you imagine moving from Sudan to the Midwest and getting a degree, working 3 jobs, but they also really give you great perspective. It was ultimately a very inspiring little film. Gratitude. That's what I got away from it. I came away with how much more grateful I am for where I live, for the country I live in. Yes, there's problems. Yes, there's so many problems you can fill up all the talk shows all day long. But when you sit down and make a list of all the things you're thankful from, it changes your mind. I believe it brings a change of heart. And when a person walks in, as opposed to, oh my gosh, I got this difficult listing, I'm thankful to have a listing. Oh my gosh, I have this buyer, you know what, I'm thankful to have a buyer. Oh my gosh, I got an overpriced listing. I'm thankful for the opportunity to reduce it and get this home sold. I know this sounds like platitudes, but I'm going to share with you, this is an emotional business. There's no structure to this industry, and it requires and demands a lot of us. So I'm going to ask you, are you walking around every day complaining? Or are you walking around with gratitude on the end of your lips? I'm going to encourage you to focus on that. The third major piece of our program today, before we get into questions and so on and so forth, is energy. You got to have energy to do this business. Physical, emotional, spiritual, the whole dynamic. You got to have energy. We're emotional beings. This is an energetic business. So we want to be, first major point, fully engaged. Now, you got to attract, and you will attract who you are. And then the third point is do what you enjoy. So write these points down. Be fully engaged. You attract who you are, and do what you enjoy. Be fully engaged. You attract who you are, and do what you enjoy. So let's talk about this whole concept of fully engaged. Powerful, powerful book written by a very good friend of mine, Tony Schwartz. Tony Schwartz was in the Oprah book club. This is a multi-million selling bestseller. And Schwartz was a guy that studied professional athletes, coached professional athletes, and then now coaches corporate executives and CEOs. A brilliant man. And what he's discovered is that we all get into this treadmill mode, going to work, getting up, doing the same thing over and over again. And in the real estate business, the treadmill runs Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, because that's when all the services and banks are open to close the deals and work on the transactions. But then we have a tendency to meet our clients in the evenings and weekends. So when are we working? All the time. And rather than going hard all the time, which a human being can't do, we dial it down. So instead of being real efficient and effective, we get a little sloppy. We answer our phone all the time. We answer texts all the time. We answer email all the time. So we're never really off. And because we're never really off, we're never really on. The whole principle of the power of full engagement is this. You run hard, then you rest and recover. Run hard, rest and recover, then you get to run hard again. Run hard, rest and recover. Zig Ziglar talks about how the busiest day of your year is the day before you go on vacation. Now, why is that? Because there's a deadline coming, and there's also a specific rest coming. You have more energy. You may have been working, but you got a vacation coming. You will go through night and day, night and day, night and day to get everything you need to get done because you know a rest is coming. It's a powerful thing. In my business, how do I apply this? I never worked Sundays. The last 7 years of my career, I never worked a Sunday. That was it. My family and I went to church together. We had time together. We went to ball games. We played ball. We rested and recovered on Sunday, and it was a day my whole family looked forward to. I didn't return phone calls on Sunday. I didn't return faxes or emails on Sunday. Now, I know for some of you it's a big step, but here's what it allowed me to do. Monday to Saturday, I was after it. Monday to Saturday, I was engaged. Now, eventually in my business, I stopped working Saturday afternoons. Then, in the last 2 years of my career, Saturdays and Sundays, now I had an assistant and a buyer's agent by this stage, but I eventually got to the point where I took 2 days off every week. And I was ready to roll Monday morning. If there was $50 to be negotiated on a Monday morning on a transaction, I was on it, like white on rice. Why? Because I had run hard, I had rested, recovered, and I was ready to run hard again. So again, I mentioned this to you. I think it's a powerful resource if you can get the book, The Power of Full Engagement, by Jim Lair and Tony Schwartz. Fabulous book. Managing energy, not time, is the key to high performance and personal renewal. And again, I'm referring books to you. I'm referring mentors to you today. I'm giving you quotes today. Why? Because these are the people that have continually influenced me. I want to give you the good stuff. And I hope this becomes a habit for you. To keep putting the good stuff in, the good stuff in, the fuel, the good stuff in, the good stuff in. Fires you up. So run hard, rest and recover, and then run hard again. The next piece is you attract who you are. Now, this can be a difficult thing to swallow sometimes. because there's also a principle in regards to relationships that we attract the opposite. But I'm talking in regards to your business. You attract who you are. If you're a high energy person, you're going to attract people who like high energy or who are high energy. If you're a fired up, enthusiastic person, you're going to attract people who are that or people who like that. If you are running kind of low and beat up and so on and so forth, you've heard birds of a feather flock together. You know, if you want to get together and talk about how bad things are, you'll find yourself congregating with people at the office who think the same way. If you're a little beat up and down and you're communicating and complaining, next thing you know, look at who you're hanging out with. My mother used to say this to me. She'd say, Brian, show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. Now, as a kid, I hated that because it was true. Show me your friends, I'll tell you who you are. What does that mean as you grow personally? There are times I intentionally distance myself from an association that was negative, that was down, that was an energy sucker. They'd put a siphon into my side and just drain my energy. The fact of the matter is, it doesn't mean, oh, you know, I don't like something somebody said, I'm not talking to them anymore. It's not that. But there were casual relationships in my life that went on to become distant relationships because I chose not to put myself in that place. Now let me tell you, I'm a fired up guy, I'm an enthusiastic guy, I'm a positive guy. Why? Because I work at it. I can also tell you this truth. If I find myself down and beat up and people are negative and complaining, I can find myself jumping right into that conversation. I can find myself coming up with anything just as negative as they can. I'm good at it apparently. But I work at the positive. And what I can tell you is this. Nothing in my life has changed me more than that. Nothing's brought me greater financial riches than that. Nothing's brought me greater family benefits than that. I remember early on in my marriage, my wife put a sticker on the bathroom mirror, and it said, "You are now looking at the problem." That was a hard pill to swallow for a newly married guy, but she was right at the time. And so the bottom line is I decided to change my problem by changing me. So we need to make sure we're running hard, resting, recovering, managing our energy, and then ultimately fueling ourselves. Here's a great Peelism again. If you have zest and enthusiasm, you attract zest and enthusiasm. Life does give back in kind. If you have zest and enthusiasm, you attract zest and enthusiasm. Life does give back in kind. Again, profound stuff. You attract who you are. And then the last little piece here, just a tip, do what you enjoy. Now, not everything about our business is enjoyable. I'm just going to encourage you to do those elements you enjoy the most. Now, here's the key, little caveat here, with regards to the priorities. If your favorite thing is to clean your desk or win a game of solitaire because you enjoy that, you're going broke. So you need to prioritize the highest and best use of your time. So if it's about generating a lead, do you really like seeing people face to face, or are you better on the phone? Are you great at writing personal notes, or are you better sitting down having lunch and coffee with someone? Are you a person who's comfortable standing in front of a group? Once a month you should be hosting some kind of educational seminar for your database, or speaking at networking meetings or business meetings. Do what you enjoy. Do what you enjoy. Steffi Graf, maybe the greatest female tennis player ever, says, as long as I can focus on enjoying what I'm doing, having fun, I know I'll play well. Do what you enjoy. Do what you enjoy and then do it very well. I found that when people do what they enjoy, they tend to do it very well. Typically because it's connected to your gift structure. So again, another little tip here. Here's the tasks. Here's the most important things in my business. The highest and best use of my time. And I'm going to prioritize them based on what I really enjoy. And I'm going to go do it. Like I said, if it's face-to-face, I'm going to do more of that. If it's over the phone, I'm going to do more of that. If it's sitting down with somebody at lunch, I'm going to do more of that. I'm going to have breakfasts and lunches. There was a great agent in Southern California named Bob Wolf. He would do 2 and 3 breakfasts a day because he found breakfast meetings were fantastic for his business. His day would start very early, and he would do several breakfasts. Fantastic insight. Do what you enjoy. Do it well. Now again, just as a little wrap-up here before we get into our questions, and I know we've received many questions here today, for your complimentary coaching session, go to BuffiniCompany.com/Cinemeeting to access the resources, log in, and enter the code Thrive 2010. So our whole theme for this year has been how to thrive in any market. Thrive 2010. That's your code. You'll find the resources there. You'll find some videos there. You'll find some materials there. You'll also find an opportunity to register for your free coaching session so we can get those fundamentals going for you. Again, I'm excited right now for you to embrace this concept. I hope you've taken copious notes of our time together. How to have an awesome attitude involves your philosophy, your attitude, and your energy. And what we want to do is be intentional about our philosophy as opposed to someone else shaping our beliefs. Be intentional about our attitudes as opposed to hoping we're going to wake up positive. And be intentional about our energy. Philosophy, attitude, energy. You do those three things, you will be on fire. Your clients will see it. Your customers will see it. They'll refer you. They'll be telling people. They'll be communicating. And by the way, your family will be writing me personal notes of gratitude because you'll be better to live with. So let's take some questions right now. And we're going to open it up. I'd love to hear from you. Here on the screen, we're going to find out who has a question. And I'm going to take this for about 15 minutes, and we'll just pick some. I know we have many questions piling on in here. And so if you have a question for me, click on the button right there and ask a question, and we'll address your questions, okay? So we're just loading them up right now. All right, so put your question in. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and where you're coming from, okay? Operators are standing by. We're just loading them up right now, boys and girls, so here they come. And again, again, don't forget the little homework assignments I gave you here today. You know, I want you to make a list of all the things you're thankful for. I want you to do all those things. I want you to read those books I gave you, okay? So make sure that you do those kinds of things. All right, let me take a look here at some of the questions we have. Let's see. All right, got a question here from Rob. And Rob is from Windermere in Maple Valley. And it says, what's the best way to generate valuable leads? I'm sorry, that's from Kem Drayton. Kem Drayton, okay? And Kem, here's my encouragement to you. Working by referral allows you to produce a quality lead. When you get a lead off the internet, when you get a lead off an ad, when you get a lead, even a sign call is pretty good. But when you get those kinds of leads, the casual leads, you really can't qualify the lead coming to you. When you get a referral, it's a personal endorsement from someone who knows you or likes you or trusts you. And I'm encouraging you, Kem, to check out our Working by Referral system, because what we systemize is a high quantity of high quality leads. You might also want to check out some of the videos on the website there that will give you a good introduction to that. Okay? All right. Here's Howard from Boston, says, what are some methods that would be helpful to attract buyers to start working with you at your open houses? Well, a great question, Howard. Here's a great example. We've given you some fantastic resources here on the website. So just download them, okay? Free of charge to you. So what would be an example? Here's one that called the Coming Housing Boom. Another one, Why It Pays to Buy Now. You present these to the buyer and say, look, I produce valuable information for my customers every month. And if you'd like to receive these items of value from me, here, sign here. Let me know where you'd like me to send it to. In case I need to get a hold of you, what's the best number to reach you at? And if you'd like to receive these electronically, give me your email also. Very powerful. You'll get a name, address, phone number, email, because it's something of value. And you can continue on. In our program, we send out information every month, such as how to raise your credit score, how to protect yourself from identity theft, all kinds of neat stuff, tax tips on the new laws affecting real estate and so on and so forth. So powerful stuff. Okay, next question here. I'm trying to find out who this is from. I've been a Buffini Company member for about 5 years and made it through the most difficult times in the recent market. However, once the market started to emerge a bit, my business tanked from January to April. I'm wondering how that happened. Okay, now I don't know all the details there, and that's kind of surprising to me, but here's my encouragement to you. This business is ultimately a business where you plant seeds, you water, you fertilize, and then you harvest. So when somebody says to me, my business in April was bad, I typically ask them, what were you doing in December and January? When somebody says to me, you know, I've had a difficult second quarter, I say, well, what did you do lead generation-wise in the first quarter? Now, here's the good news. You've been with us for a lot of years and you've done well. The good news is if you're faithful and consistent, you will win. It kind of reminds me of a gentleman named Thad Higgins, who went through our program, who went through the 100 Days to Greatness training program. Now, the 100 Days to Greatness program has averaged 5.2 sales during the 100 Days transactions. During the 100 Days training course. So, at the end of 100 days, this guy had sent out every note, made every call, sent out every item of value. He had nothing to show for it. Well, here's the dynamic. He called up into the company, goes, what's going on? All we could tell him to do is just keep being faithful, keep being faithful, keep being faithful. True story. 2 weeks after the course ended, he got 6 listings in 1 week. Now, I have no idea how that happens. And I have no idea that the real estate business, as systemized as we've made the lead generation side of it, it doesn't come in. I get 4 leads every month. I do 3 deals every month. That's not how it works. You have to constantly be cultivating your database, constantly cultivating leads, and then they tend to come in bunches. So my encouragement to you is just keep being faithful, keep chipping away, get back to those fundamentals, the calls to your database, the notes, the pop-bys, letting people know you're never too busy for their referrals. Keep sending them items of value, and you'll be doing just fine. Okay. Let's see here. Lillian Fowler from Prudential Fox & Roach in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. I was just out there, Lillian. It says, how do you separate your personal life from your business life if your personal life brings you down? Very, very powerful. And Lillian, the other part of it is that your business life can bring your personal life down. So my encouragement to you is that the separation is not so easy. But what I've found is this. You know, in Buffini & Company, we teach at every one of our Turning Point retreats goal setting. And we do 2 types of goal setting. We do goals for 10 days and then goals for 10 months. And the goals are not just business goals. They're spiritual, family, business, financial, and personal. And it's amazing when people actually sit down and write goals, how it has an impact on them. I like to say the more you go to work on your goals, the goals go to work on you. Here's what I found as a truth. Spiritual, family, business, financial, personal. Here's 5 key areas of your life. If you get an improvement in your financial life, it'll positively impact the other 4. If you get an improvement in your spiritual life, it will positively impact the other 4. If you get an improvement in your physical life, it'll positively impact the other 4. For example, we had a lady in our coaching program named Linda McCutcheon. Linda McCutcheon came to us as a new agent. She had done only 9 transactions in her business. Her first year in our coaching program, she went from 9 sales to 12. Now, that's not exactly going to be on our brochure, if you know what I mean. But here's what happened. During that first year, Linda McCutcheon lost 54 pounds. The following year, she sold 44 homes. I believe those 2 things are related. So right now, Lillian, you know, I empathize with you. You might be going through a tough time. A lot of folks have been going through a tough time in these last couple of years. My encouragement to you is seek any kind of positive improvement in any area of your life, and I promise you, it will positively impact the other areas. It will be like a positive flower growing in your garden. It just keeps going and going and going. Okay? Here's a great question here. It says, how do I stop following the crowd and stay focused? Okay? That's a great question. I always say, you know, don't ever follow the crowd because they don't know where they're going. You know, you don't know where they're going, they don't know where they're going, so don't follow them. And we need to understand this mentality because it's very strong. It's kind of built into us in our high school years. Everybody's doing it, Mom. We dress the same, we talk the same, but the crowd rarely does well. There's never been a time in recorded human history where everybody got wealthy together. There's been a lot of times when a whole bunch of people got broke together. So we need to work through that. That we need to understand that if you follow the crowd, you're not following your dreams. If you follow the crowd, you're not pursuing your goals. If you follow the crowd, you're not pursuing the life you want, you're conforming to the life someone else wants. Okay? And so, you know, we have to be very intentional about our life, about our philosophy, about our attitude, and about our energy. And that question is a great example of exactly what I'm talking about. That you got to really focus on those things. And so here's what I promise you. If you'll just get a little bit of momentum and a little bit of improvement and a little bit of positive feedback, you'll be flying. Okay? All right. It says, thanks, Brian. Very uplifting. How do we avoid negative people in the office? I just say this. It's not so much avoiding. It's as much not participating. One of the things we want to be careful about is to not engage in getting caught up in other people's boundaries. In fact, there's a fantastic book by Dr. Henry Cloud, like cloud in the sky, called Boundaries. And many of us struggle with those boundaries between personal and professional life. And many times we take on and over-own people's problems. Many times we get ourselves mixed up at a deeper level than we want to be involved in. So I was always polite and courteous to everybody because that's the attitude I wanted to give off, and that's the energy I wanted to embrace. But I just found myself not spending time. When I was talking to negative people, I tended to be moving. I tended to be on my way to something and someone, okay? So very, very powerful. I think I got time for one more question here. Let me see. Wayne in Baltimore. Wayne asks, do you have a rule of thumb oops, I did have a question there from Wayne, sorry. It says, do you have a rule of thumb as to how to spend on an average listing in promotional and other costs, a percentage of the commissions that you will get when it sells, okay? So my encouragement, Wayne, is to be very judicious in your expenses, especially right now. Now, many people, they spend money on a listing as a way to pacify a seller. And my encouragement to you is to be very careful about that. In our world today, here's what we found. 24 of the 25 major newspapers in America have radically declining circulation. What are we realtors doing? Still throwing money into the local newspaper to run an ad. Why? Because the seller wants to see an ad. Now, my encouragement to you is not to get too caught up in that. I mean, people would do it in my day, and they'd ask me, hey, I want you to run an ad every weekend, do an open house every weekend, and I want you to cut your commission. And I'd let them know, look, if all it takes to sell your home and to work through this process is to do an open house and run an ad, you should do it yourself and save the commission. Now, what did I do to sell a house? Now, I need more time than what I have here today to go through that, but ultimately, a couple things. I built out a specific marketing plan. Here's what I'm going to do, and I just broke it all down into detail. We're going to put the property in good condition. We're going to make it available to show. Many times I'd have one of my staff, which was a very good person with a great eye for a home, and she'd help stage the property. We're going to price it right. We're going to put it in the MLS. We're going to make flyers. We're going to distribute them to our favorite agents. I'm going to distribute them through my network of delivery companies that are going to drop a flyer in all these agents' database. I have a list of the top agents that I've done business with throughout my career. I'm going to send them an email with an attachment of this listing right away. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to contact my database and see who in my database might be interested in purchasing this home. I'm actually going to try to sell this home. I'm actually going to try and bring in the buyer myself. That's what I told my customers. In talking about you attract who you are, I average selling 40% of my own listings. Why? Because I was trying to sell my own listings. I was actually trying to. I found that the agent on the other side I could cooperate with, and I had a pretty good deal when you get both sides of the commission. Okay? All right. How do we successfully motivate an unwilling seller? Says Keith in, I think it's Missouri. Yeah. Well, Keith, Osage Beach, I believe it is. How do we successfully motivate an unwilling seller? Now, here's a principle. Think of a wet noodle and think of trying to push a wet noodle up a rope. Can't do it. What you have to do is pull people. A motivated seller is only a seller that has a clear picture of why they're selling, where they're going, and why they're moving. You see, you have to get them away from the concept of selling, and you have to get them embraced into the concept of moving. So when I first sit down with someone, I go, why do you want to put your house on the market? What are your goals? What are you trying to get accomplished? Well, it's real important. We want to get our kids into a different school. We want to be in a different area. My son plays football. He wants to play for this one school. We want to be there. It's a better school for our kids. It's time to move on. We're very cramped here. Yada, 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 yada. Now, as I continue to go on a regular basis and be in contact with that seller, I'm going to let them know, hey, you know, I just want you to know we've been on the market 6 weeks. We haven't had any offers. People have showed the property, and they've bought with someone else. They've looked at the house. They've bought another listing. And what that tells us that we might be priced a little on the high side. Well, I don't want to reduce my price. I understand. But let's just go back and review your goals. You want to get your son to play in Mission Hills High School. You want it, you're cramped here and you need a new place. And this is what you need to do. I understand. My best advice is based on your goals. Here's what you should do. The bottom line is you can't motivate someone. You can't rah-rah them. You can't give them a speech. What you got to do is bring them back to their goals. So, many more questions. We'll try to respond to some of these via email. Thank you for being so engaged. We've received just tons and tons of incoming questions today. Just as a recap for you, a couple things. Make sure you go to BuffiniCompany.com/Cinemeeting. Put in the code THRIVE2010. You'll find the resources are there, the materials are there, your free coaching session is there. We want to continue to invest in you. Wells Fargo's made a great commitment to invest in all your businesses. And I believe, like an old Italian proverb says, between the lending industry and the real estate industry, is that one hand washes the other, both hands wash the face. And Wells Fargo knows by helping you do better business, they hope to earn your trust to do business with you. So contact your local HMC, your local mortgage consultant with Wells Fargo. Also with Buffini & Company, we know that as we help you grow and succeed, we can help you with many of these problems. We have coaches standing by. We have our training programs and our live events. Please come check us out. Come to one of our live events. Come and check out our coaching program and see if we can help you thrive, not just in 2010, but in the years to come. I hope you've enjoyed this live webcast today. We'll be doing another one in October. I'll be speaking at the NAR convention in November on behalf of Wells Fargo, and we'll continue to provide resources and valuable presentations like this to help you grow, to help you improve your business, and I hope today helped improve your attitude. Until next time, God bless.